6 Voltage versus Seattle Senpais. I am Allegation, and today I am joined by Death Unbound. And I'm thinking this is going to be a pretty good game. What do you think?
I'm hoping it is. I have personally been giving some coaching help to Seattle Senpais recently, trying to help them fix some of their mistakes that they've been making. Hopefully they've been able to take those things that I've been able to convey to them, and they're able to improve their gameplay and pop off today. And same thing from Voltage, though. I want them to play well, too.
Yeah, and now you were saying like some of the mistakes Seattle was doing, and I started thinking back earlier in the season. They were doing incredibly well. Like they were, in my opinion, one of the top teams very early on. But it hasn't just recently in the past few weeks. It seems like they've just hit a wall.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems rather strange. Because they actually played my team specifically, Neptune, the first game, and they were really strong, but it seems since then it's kind of been falling apart. It's really strange. I know there've been player moves and all sorts of things going on internally, but it's kind of strange just to have such a strong start and they're just kind of fall to pieces. Hopefully they can turn it around starting today.
Absolutely. Now, we are seeing the same map set that we did last week. This is the last week we are going to see this map set too. So, we will have an entirely new map set next week, but Oasis, one of those maps that is very, very difficult to play on sometimes.
Well, one of the reasons why a lot of people like it is because there's a lot of different variants for what you can do on Oasis. The different control points specifically allow for different playstyles. On the map we're on now, University, a lot of times you like to see death balls. Traditionally, you'd play stuff like Ryan Zarya, here. But on maps like, what is it? City Center? Yeah, City Center. You can definitely see some different styles of play where there's a lot of control of the high ground, so you see dive there more so. And you can definitely see all comps on all of these maps, I think. It's not really a hard meta for what you have to play. So we'll see what
Definitely not. Like, even in my games, I've seen so many weird compositions come out of Oasis, and for some reason, it still worked. So, it's definitely one of those maps that you can play a lot of different things.
For sure. So,
and it looks like we're actually going to see a Junkrat come out on both teams. Nicholas Dinger being a well-known Junkrat for the last few seasons of OLOC as well.
Now, what's interesting here is that Voltage is opting to use the Roadhog as their off-tank, and Seattle has decided to use D.Va instead, so D.Va is going to...
And Chaotic getting the first pick onto Kingren. Defenji will take out Joker, and that's a nice trade-off, honestly. But Voltage have lost their main support as well as Nicholas Singer now, and it looks like Seattle going to be having the upper hand early on in this fight already.
Definitely. Now that Ash is still up there, they shouldn't let her live. They should kill her now. If she dies now, it's really late. Nope.
Ooh, Voltage's tank's able to get in and come to her aid right before she's able to fall, and she's able to get back to the supports. Coalescence is going to come out from the side of Seattle Senpais, but Elo Earth taking out the pick onto Kalmaz, maybe moving that Lucio from this fight. Self-destruct. Going to take out two, a massive bomb with Spooky Assassin falling off the edge, and it looks like Seattle going to maintain control at this point.
Oh, that's a huge play that can only really happen there because you have the D.Va, like I brought up earlier. That defensive ability to use Matrix to block off the mob's effectiveness, and then also the D.Va bomb in a clutch position to get those kills.
It's definitely one of those difficult points. It looks like Voltage, though, starting to set up, but Chaotic Phoenix using this Riptide, trying to get a few picks if he can get some. But it is going to be destroyed. The courtesy of Elo Earth wasn't able to get into good positioning.
Ooh.
A sound barrier will help mitigate the damage done by that Riptire. And Overhaul able to come in and take out Spooky Assassin. Once more, Voltage losing that main support. But Kingren pushing them into the hallway and able to take out those picks with, I believe, the help of their Roadhog, and Voltage able to flip this point over with 75% on Seattle's point.
Honestly, they were unable to pressure that Roadhog down. He was a really big problem, in my opinion.
And Defenji has definitely proven to be a very scary player when he's on this Roadhog, and Roadhog actually had a massive flank route right now, completely behind Seattle. And he will get the pickoff onto Bellins, and with courtesy of Elo Earth taking out the Junkrat, that's going to end this fight almost immediately before it even started.
And honestly, he's not even invisible. He's very clearly seen. It just seems that Seattle's not checking their corners. Interesting Bob usage.
And that's always what's going to kill you, but what we see down here is Joker is actually underneath the point. And he's going to be in a really good position that once Seattle's ready to start pushing forward, he could just teleport up on top of the point and force Voltage away from this hold. Which it looks like that's exactly what he does, is Voltage immediately is going to start to shift around to try and take out the Reaper. Defensi, though, taking out Chaotic Phoenix, Death Blossom going to come in, not going to catch anybody with a Earth Shatter. Going to look for picks, but not going to catch anybody out in the open. And a Coalescence also going to be used as long as the self-destruct, but nobody dying in this fight. And it looks like Seattle exhausting their ultimates, not getting any value out of them, and is going to be forced back. But Warrior Wolf able to get a Fire Strike onto Chan, as well as being able to take out Kingren. But Elo Earth, being that force that he is on this Ashe, going to take out 2 picks of his own, and it looks like he might even be able to take out the Ryan with, and he is able to take out the Ryan. Nicholas Singer also have a fire back, taking out Kalmog's Overhaul Trees, will take out Spooky Assassin, but it looks like this fight is just in the favor of Voltage currently.
Honestly, Voltage was so good with the Roadhog there, getting early picks every fight, normally onto the Moira or a DPS. It's already set almost every fight there up to be in their advantage, and it's just very hard for Seattle to come back once you're already down 1, walking into the point. It's really hard to win those fights back.
And you definitely see it so many times where you're not watching behind you or your corners on next to you, and it's always that flanker that's going to start popping off every single time.
What's strange to me is that Defenji walked into the exact same spot a couple times, and they just didn't check there. Scouting there is honestly just really easy. You just, have your diva walk around there, you would have found him, and he's an easy kill. He's by himself, but they just don't scout that corner twice, and it costs them the round.
And it looks like Overhaul actually going to be swapping over to a Roadhog of his own, possibly to try and counter Defenji. But Voltage immediately having a setup on this point, and it doesn't look like Defenji is really trying. Actually, Defenji going for yet another massive flank round, once again completely behind, but this time the Mei is there to watch him. And Chaotic Phoenix will get a pick onto Defenji. Now Voltage already in a 5v6 disadvantage. That flank didn't pay off, and now Elo Earth will take out Warrior Wolf Girl. But it looks like this point is still going to remain in favor of Voltage. Seattle Senpai starting to push in. Kingren will fall, but Nicholas Singer fired back, going to take out Bellins and keep him out of this fight. But Overhaul taking a pick onto both Nicholas Singer and Chan once again. And now this fight is going to go in favor of Seattle Senpais.
Not necessarily. There's a Mei here, and
there is still a Mei in the favor of Seattle, but a whole hog is going to lead to the death of Defenji, and it looks like this Moira is just going to be here to keep this stall going as much as they can, going for percentage. Lucio able to get to the point, and Voltage just staggering onto this point. The stall really coming in for Voltage, but they are going to lose this point.
Big stall, honestly. They really didn't commit much there. I definitely think that they did a really good job of staggering on getting it.
Rob going to come in, but he's going to be pushed away from the point and walled off completely. Riptire going to come in, looking for picks. It's going to catch
you, sire! That's a knockdown! Oh, man.
And now only Mei and Roadhog being left there to defend the point, but it looks like they're both going to pull back as far as they can.
If you're thinking about it, man, really, you've got to have somebody to shoot with Riptires. Oh, interesting.
Whole Hog going to take out Nicholas Singer, but he is going to get charged out of that Whole Hog. Blizzard coming in and is going to freeze Kingren, and nearly got the Zarya. Kingren, though, going to survive the Blizzard. And Elo Earth going to take out Joker in the process. Kelmods, though, going to come out and use that whip in order to kill Kingren And Voltage going to be pushed away from this point and flop back over to Seattle.
So in case you didn't notice there, actually, they used Overhaul Dreams there with the Roadhog as a bait, and once the Reinhardt had pinned him into the corner and his bubble was gone, they used that as an opportunity to Mei ult him because he had no way to get out. He'd used his movement ability and there was no bubble available, so it was a free kill. Definitely locked up all the resources and gave...
Deadeye coming out of Joker, looking to try and get as many picks as they can, and will be able to catch Defenji!
Ooh! No shatter for you. Beat completely wasted. There's no tank line available to take advantage of that space. But they will send in...
But Bob going to be... Oh, I thought Bob actually was walled off, but in fact he wasn't, and he's actually pumping in damage into that Ryan shield. Nicholas Singer going to be able to take out Joker with the concussion mine, but it doesn't look like Voltage has the bodies to flip this point over into their favor yet. Defenji, though, back again on this Zarya with his Reinhardt in tow, and this fight is going to continue going, but percentage quickly ticking up in favor of Seattle Senpais. Whole Hog going to come in yet again, destroying the barrier as well as the Zarya bubble for him. With Kingren falling to the Coalescence, but Elor coming in, going to take out 2 picks. He will fall to the Roadhog, but not before Nicholas Singer is able to take out Kalmaz and keep this fight going as much as they can, looking to try and catch as many picks. But Nicholas Singer will fall to the Fire Strike, and 3 people left on both sides of either team. Spooky Assassin going to fall to Overhaul Dream thanks to a massive chain hook that keeps him out of this fight. Then Kingren also going to fall yet again. They're down both a tank and a support, and it looks like Voltage just trying to keep this fight going as much as they can, using this Lucio just jumping around and making sure that he's not going to fall, but he will be taken out by Bellens, and now Zarya having to rush in using both her ally bubble and personal, and Seattle will take second point.
Seattle made big adaptations there, didn't let Hogflanks get off. In fact, they got Defenshi off of the Roadhog and onto the Zarya. I'm not really sure how comfortable he is on the Zarya, but they definitely got him off of that pick, and you could definitely see that they were playing more as a team. They were able to clutch out some situations there. Like that they were playing tighter together.
And definitely what I was noticing is they were making sure that those tanks, either they were being left completely alone, or they were the first ones being focused down. Like, they were trying to keep both Kingren and Defenji just out of the fight as much as possible. It looks like the Defenji will be swapping back over to the Roadhog. It doesn't look like that Voltage was too happy about him having to swap over to Zarya. And they might have put him back on there because they were afraid of what could happen if they didn't. Voltage going to take this side route, not a common route normally seen. Normally see a lot of teams taking the middle like Seattle has. Defenji going to use this flank route. He sees the Mei and tries to get the hook off, thinking that Chrono Freeze was going to end, but instead it wasn't, and that wall is going to give Seattle a chance to start pushing in, but Spooky Assassin will take a pick onto the McCree, an auto pick, not something you see quite often. Kingren starting to push right into Seattle, but it has that Mercy on him to keep him up into that fight. And Kingren will be able to take out Overhaul Dream with the charge, and now we see Chaotic actually in a bad position, or not Chaotic, Warrior Wolf in a bad position, using that charge, put her in a very tough position, and Voltage able to take that first point.
So this was really smart actually from Voltage coming out. Because they go that right side actually, what they do is they establish the high ground for their Ashe, and that really allows their Ashe to pop off that fight and get some extra damage while they get those kills. Ooh, Chaotic Phoenix out duels Healer, but they're able to res, so it's not really going to be...
They do get the Resurrect off, and Blizzard is going to come out on the side of Voltage, and it's going to help lead to the death of Overhauled, and now it looks like Seattle is just going to be playing the waiting game now, not really wanting to push in. They have this break, now she's going to pop the rally now that the damage orb has taken down Nicholas Stinger, and Kingren, though, going to be responded with an nano-boosted Reinhardt. Chaotic Phoenix, though, takes out Defenji, and Seattle really starting to push in. Earth Shatter is blocked, and now Joker using the Deadeye to just use as the cleanup job. But it looks like Seattle quite possibly be using a few too many ults just to secure this point.
They use, let's see, they use several ults. They use the Deadeye, the rally. They used 3, but honestly, they only needed the 2, if that, because those supports were going to die regardless. May ult not needed, and that May ult in this current meta, as powerful as May is so useful to clutch out fights even when you're down. So the fact that they use that there could be something that definitely gets taken advantage of by Voltage. And they push in and get their ult quicker.
And Voltage almost up with a whole hog, and they do have Bob, which adds a 7th body onto this point. And Bob is going to come out. He's actually going to go straight past the point. It looks like it was it might have been a really smart Bob, but it looks like it was just more misplaced as Seattle just starts to push straight into that Ash and now is picking off multiple people, including Spooky Assassin, Kingren, and Chan, and this point will remain in favor of Seattle Senpais currently.
Honestly, amazing push by Seattle to go in there, get out of the line of sight of the Bob, just run into their team and kill them, and then Defenji uses his ult really late and gets no kills. I can only assume he's trying to switch. Oh, no, he's not. What a questionable ult. He didn't get any value, and he died late. Now they have to wait for him to come back. It's going to be well into 70 or 80% by the time they're actually able to play it.
And something we also have to notice is Seattle almost has 6 ultimates online. Grab it. A Graviton Surge going to come in with 3 people falling to a Fire Strike, and the Coalescence being that cleanup job that it truly is at times. A nice team kill to flip this point into 90%, and now we're in dangerous one-fight territory for Voltage. They need to get onto this point as fast as possible, and that's possibly why Defenji is swapped over to this Hammond. He's going to touch point no matter what, and keep this point in overtime, but because of those ult advantages that Seattle Senpais have, they're able to take out 4 picks before the fight even begins, and Seattle Senpais is going to take Oasis.
Big adaptations allow them to take the win. Definitely great to see Seattle make those adjustments, and that much better ultimate economy, man. Those wasted ults on the side of Voltage, unfortunately, are the reason they lost. Huge Graviton Surge from Overwatch.
Absolutely. Now, we are going to be going to Hollywood next. So, what are you thinking that we might see come out? We do, I believe we have a few subs in the lobby now.
So, in my opinion, I honestly thought that the players on Seattle, I think, outperformed, honestly. If you look at, I just think that rank-wise, they're not even close, really, to what the Voltage has, and they really popped off getting some clutch kills in these team fights. Chaotic getting double kills here and there, and then you have Joker sometimes getting some kills of his own. Them able to go toe-to-toe with Nicholas Dinger, who's, as we know before, being a force in the Junkrat, and Yellow Earth being a force on that hit scan, man. Those crucial duels that they ended up winning or getting early picks really allowed them to win at least City Center, the last map. Those were definitely very important. But I think for Hollywood specifically, we're going to see, I think we could definitely see more Hog, because Hollywood's second point is definitely a point where there's a lot of flanks for you to go all around, and even on the third point too, there's a lot of different routes that you can get around and get flanks off for that Hog. I'm not sure how much that we'll see of Zarya, but personally, I would like to see some D.Va for second and third point, given that there's those high grounds that are so important. I think Reinhardt will still be a staple main tank, and though we might see some other tanks, mobility tanks come out, might see Winston or Ball, not entirely sure. And main support-wise, I think we've seen some variants, but for this type of game, I think Moira and Lucia are just the most consistent you can get. To be fair,
and both teams are ready to go, so we're going into map number 2 of which is Hollywood. Now, Hollywood is I don't want to do the plug. But so Hollywood, honestly, in my opinion, is not one of the strongest maps in the game, but this is just personally my opinion, is you've got these 2 routes that on point A and then the third checkpoint, you see these massive, massive choke points where there's really only 2 ways, especially on point A, to push into this. You're either going through the main archway but you gotta go in through the small computer room. And those just absolutely feed into a Junkrat.
This is true. However, personally, I feel that the way to deal with that Junkrat really is to have good pathing, because technically, in my opinion, I think that you can get around the Junkrat if you're not feeding into him. If you stay behind your Reinhardt shield and you're not allowing him to do damage to the rest of your team. And once you get around that, you should be able to pop off, should be able to move forwards, and get into the team fight before he's able to do a lot of damage, because Junkrat really farms people when they're making bad pathing decisions and flanking, well, not necessarily flanking, but going in the wrong directions and just walking into your shots. Roadhog, Defenji on the flank.
Defenji will be playing on the Roadhog. Nicholas Stinger, though, getting an early pick onto Bellens, and it looks like Seattle is choosing to stay out of this fight, waiting for that respawn to come in, but wasting time. Elo Earth going to take a pick onto Kalmaz as well, and it looks like that hold is going to remain even longer than Seattle was hoping for.
Yeah, Defenji does reveal himself, and he walks out. He's going to play with his main tank now. Oh,
and Chaotic being the third pick of this fight. Nobody has fallen on the side of Voltage yet, and Seattle already lost 3, and Elo Earth already is 50% up to that Infrasight.
Yeah, although the main value from the Widow isn't really her Infrasight, it's the threat of that one-shot kill, and oh my goodness.
And Defenji will fall to Overhaul, but once again, Elo Earth taking yet another pick into his roster of bodies. And it looks like Seattle is going to start trying to push in just a little bit, trying to force this Roadhog off. Chaotic Phoenix will be able to take off Nicholas Stinger. That removes the Junkrat from this fight. And now Seattle is going to really start pushing forward. They don't have to worry about the spam nades coming out of the Junkrat. We have this Genji in the back lines on the side of Chaotic Phoenix, and he's looking to try and get a pick onto these supports. Amplification Matrix is going to come out, but it doesn't matter, as all of Seattle is going to push straight through the Amp Matrix to push into Voltage. Warrior will be able to take out Chan, and Overhaul will take out Spooky. Both supports down on the side of Voltage, and Chaotic now taking out Kingren, and it looks like it's just left to the cleanup for the side of Seattle, but 2 picks falling in favor of Voltage. They're going to keep this fight alive. Riptire going to come in, and it looks like the Riptire is going to take out Kalmaz, and Seattle ends up losing that fight.
So actually what happened there, right, is there was a lack of focus onto the enemy Widowmaker as well as the Junkrat, and they just come in and as well, I think I would say that the Zarya too is also uncontested. They just do so much damage, they get those kills, and it doesn't matter because the rest of the team was just sort of tunnel visioning onto the enemy Reinhardt. There wasn't really much that they could do to stop that damage.
And Defenji killing Chaotic Phoenix early on yet again, and we see that Voltage has popped this Infrasight, so they know exactly which way Seattle is trying to push, and the rotation occurs almost immediately as they jump behind sights. And Elo Earth will take the pick on the Joker. Elo Earth actually in a really good position on that very top of the high ground.
I like the idea from Seattle here, even though it didn't work out. Taking this back hallway is a lot better for you if you're playing against a Widowmaker like that, because you're just not going to be able to fight her going main. It's just not possible. She can sit up on the back left, or she can sit up in cafe and just pop shots all she wants. You don't have anything to threaten her except this Genji. But, looking at the ultimate economy now, we are seeing a lot of ults being ready for Seattle here. If they're not able to take it with these ults, it's going to be really concerning, especially since we're down to less than a minute for this push here.
It really is time for Seattle to start making their push forward, but they need to take out this Brig, who is now just popped rally for Voltage, and a Graviton Surge going to come in, and Elo Earth will take out Kalmaz. Dragon Blade coming out of the side of Chaotic, looking for picks. Coalesce is going to be able to take out 2, and Dragon Blade looking to try and take out Elo Earth, trying to keep him out of this fight, or at least contested. Chaotic will be able to take out Elo, and Voltage now being forced away from this point. They don't have that pressure caused by the Widowmaker. Chaotic taking out Shan with the blade, the small blade to the face. And finally, Seattle able to capture this point.
A lot of ultimates coming out for Seattle there. They had to use them, they had to win. But crucially there, it was Chaotic going on to Elo Earth that allowed them to have that space to get in there. Otherwise, I would definitely think that Elo Earth maybe could have flushed, gotten a couple picks. Big kills there coming out.
And I hate to say it, but it's something that I've started to notice that with Voltage, that if Elo Earth is being pressured, they tend to have a harder time going at these fights. Reinhardt, both coming at it with each other. Nicholas Singer, though, will take the first pick of this fight, with Joker taking out Elo Earth. The Widow v. Widow goes in favor of Seattle Senpais, and now Voltage no longer has that pressure caused by that Widowmaker. Instead, they have to deal with a Widowmaker of their own. Nicholas Singer, though, will be taking out the enemy Widowmaker on that Joker, with Kingren taking out Warrior Wolf Girl, and it looks like Voltage going to maintain this hold.
In case you didn't see it there, actually, Warrior got her Shatter denied by the Brick Dash from Spooky Assassin.
And that was actually a very powerful cancel, when you think about it, because Voltage might have lost a lot of people had that Shatter been able to go through. Graviton Surge coming out of the side of Seattle Senpais. Immortality Field's taken out by both sides. Nicholas Singer going to take out Warrior Wolf. Coalescence trying to make that push happen, but wasn't able to. A Joker falling yet again to Nicholas Singer, and it looks like Seattle is going to be forced into the regroup.
So, crucially here, also too, as you can see, with Elo Earth just sitting back there on that Widowmaker, the only real thing that they have is a counter snipe coming from Joker. So it's really hard for Joker too, because Elo Earth has to come the ability to play on his high ground. His team's in the front. They can really just make a lot of space for him. Meanwhile, Joker has to kind of peek out of these awkward angles and try to hit it.
Ghost Shatter coming in from the side of Voltage. It's not going to catch anybody, but a Graviton Surge will catch the main tank on that Reinhardt. Both these Immortality Fields are going to fall, and Amplification Matrix is going to come out, and that's going to help lead to the death of 4 people, it looks like. And now Seattle finally able to get this payload moving forward, but they need to put somebody on it. They only have 18 seconds to push this to that second checkpoint.
Crucially here, we are going to see ultimates for Seattle, and they have to win one more fight to make sure that they get this point across. If they win this next fight, they should be able to push all the way into second.
No one can hide from my
Inforsite is going to come out on the side of Elo Earth, and that helps him take out Overhaul, takes out 3 people in quick succession of each other, and now the Immortality Field immediately being destroyed. A massive Earth Shatter is going to be denied thanks to that Immortality Field, but a Coalescence will help take out both Spooky Assassin and Nick and Kingren. Elo Earth will take down Kalmaz and try and help this payload stay right where it is. Seattle desperately trying to keep one person on that point, but a nice trap on the top of the payload is going to catch balance and take them out.
Honestly, kind of confused. I'm not really sure why Warrior decided to go walk off to the right side. I think the better option would have been to try to stay on payload, keep it alive. Because she does that, the Moira has to commit her fate to touch the point and then immediately just gets, burnt down and dies. But I know that her shield was about to break, but I personally think that the smarter play there is to just kind of keep it slow. I mean, it's really unfortunate. They had a plan. You could see Overhaul Dream standing up there on the top of the roof. They were going for a Graviton Surge play, but because he's out of position, not behind his Rancher, he gets immediately sniped out by the Widowmaker as soon as she comes out. So definitely I think they needed to be aware that the Widowmaker was going to take an aggressive angle and take care of them, but it's unfortunate they were playing a little too risky and got punished for it by Elo Earth.
And now we see that Seattle actually going to be running yet again another Junkrat of their own on the side in the form of Chaotic Phoenix, but Nicholas Singer remaining on his Junkrat. Now, on attack, Junkrat I've found isn't necessarily the strongest play. I mean, you can push very effectively with a Junkrat, as there's only a few places that teams tend to hold up. They're either on the high ground right in front of the arch, they're on the high ground next to the point, or they're holding right at choke or on point. So
gonna be honest with you, I'm not really sure why they're on the ball defensively. I mean, I know there's some high ground for you to drop down onto for the second point, but especially during the first point, I mean, I personally would rather see a Diva to help your Reinhardt in this frontline play. Otherwise, I think he's going to be massively outclassed by the Zarya run coming off the Voltage.
Hammond immediately going to jump in and cause a little bit of disruption, knocking the Brigitte up into the air, but she isn't going to fall. But the Hammond is able to push Zarya out of position with her team, and now she's trying to deal with this Hammond, is able to get back, but Elo Earth will be taken out by a Chaotic Phoenix, and now Seattle has the upper hand. They no longer have that pressure of that Widowmaker, and they're really going to start pushing in straight past that choke. Warrior Wolf going to take out Kingrun with the Fire Strike, and now it looks like Voltage making a more defensive play and going to back out.
Big plays coming out there, pushing into the enemy, killing. Oh no.
Early pick out of Elo Earth. The respawns are already in their favor, and now Elo trying to take that high ground advantage, looking to get that pick, isn't able to get anything, but he is going to be able to come around and take out Kalmaz, but Defenji taking out Joker, and now Defenji as well as taking out the Hammond. Voltage really going to start pushing in and make sure Warrior Wolf dies, and now the stall has to occur because of the Moira, but Voltage has the bodies there, and it looks like Seattle is just going to give them the point at this point.
Honestly, yeah, I don't think the ball was able to accomplish much there, unfortunately. The disruption was there, but, I mean, what does that matter if your Ryan is getting run over? And what crucially happened there is Voltage caused a split, and once they caused that split, man, everyone went all over the place. Zarya was able to go into the backline and kill the Ashe easily because she was high charge, and really just playing up too far, getting picked out by the enemy Widowmaker. Elo Earth has just been costing Seattle so many fights.
But some good trade-offs happening early on in those fights. We see Seattle is able to take out two people fairly early on. Hammond Mine's going to come in, but looks like most of them were actually destroyed mid-air. Chaotic Phoenix going to use that Riptide and will take out Chan, and Voltage looking like they're going to start pulling back once again. The last time they did... You go.
I think, personally, yeah, I think that Seattle can afford to lose one team fight here. If they lose slowly, they're never going to be able to touch again, but they have to try to lose quickly.
Graviton Surge, massive Graviton, going to catch multiple people. Riptide going to take out both tanks, and Voltage going to move this payload forward. Reaper doing everything he can, but he's not going to survive when 4 people are on top of him.
Crucially, they are able to get that kill on the Junkrat. Nicholas Dinger will be coming back late from that fight, so they will be at a 5v6 advantage once they re-engage, and they have a couple ults to be able to stand in this fight as well for a little while.
And the tough part right now is because Seattle doesn't have a Widowmaker of their own, this Widow of Elo Earth is just going pretty uncontested. Chaotic Phoenix though will take out Spooky Assassin, and now Seattle really starting to push onto these tanks, trying to take them out. Joker will help take out Kingrun as well as Chan, and it looks like Seattle starting to be able to stabilize.
Honestly, Spooky Assassin massively caught out of position. Kalmaz pops the rally, supports his team, runs in there, and he's able to clutch that fight out with only a single ultimate. One ultimate to win the fight. Huge value.
And now you've got 5 ults nearly online. You've got the Junkrat ult, which is going to charge up pretty quickly, as well as the Moira ult will also charge up fairly fast. So you have to expect that Seattle's going to have 5 ults going into this next fight. Joker will take out Spooky Assassin and might possibly even be looking to use this Death Blossom, but it doesn't matter as Overhaul is going to be able to take out Nicholas Stinger with those proximity mines, as well as Joker taking out Kingrun, and once again, only a couple actually only one ult used to keep that sustain going. Elo Earth though will take out Chaotic Phoenix and Bellins and try to get to this payload to keep this contested. It looks like Elo Earth actually taking an offensive stance, but he will be taken out by Overhaul Dream.
Unfortunately, those picks come way too late, I feel. Unless they're able to kill someone else. Oh, they kill Overhaul Dream.
Devenji able to take out Overhaul, and it looks like Voltage going to start pushing forward. They're staying on this payload. Earthshatter going to knock down Kingrun, but the Immortality Field comes in to save his life. Now, we see Warrior Wolf gets knocked down by the Shatter, but a massive Death Blossom taking out both supports is going to lead to the death of Kingrun as well, and Seattle maintains control of this payload.
It's kind of odd to think about it, right? But that Death Blossom coming in from Joker actually kind of worked like a defensive ultimate because it was in the middle of the team and it covered his team to be able to take that attention away from them and onto the Reaper, and he's able to frag too and switch the value of the fight back around.
Ooh, Nicholas Stinger here in the back lines of Seattle, and he's got this Riptire ready to come out. And Seattle going to hear, if they hear the Riptire come out, all the voltage, they're going to expect it to be coming up from in front of them or behind, or from above them, but most of the time they're not going to expect it to come from behind. Riptire going to come in, take out Kalmaz, and now Voltage going to move this payload forward. Overhaul, though, will take out Nicholas Stinger. Now the proximity mines onto the point. Reinhardt trying to take as many out as he can, but he's being pressured incredibly hard. He's going to charge right back onto that point, though. Keep that fight going, courtesy of those supports. The Fenji will take out Joker. That removes the Reaper from the equation. Now these tanks are able to push in as aggressively as they want. They don't have to worry about those shotguns nailing them in the face. Elo taking out Balance, going to help this payload continue to move forward. Fire Strike will help take out Kalmaz, as the Graviton Surge, being as massive as it was, will help Voltage take Hollywood.
Honestly, the reason that Voltage was able to win that map is Elo Earth hits a clutch shot onto the enemy ulting Moira and it takes her out of the fight. That specifically is what was gonna allow Seattle to stay further onto that point and possibly win more ultimates, but because she gets that shot, there's no healing from Moira and Seattle crumbles.
Alright, so we are going to our next map now, which is going to be... Crap, I just forgot. I just looked at it and I already forgot it. Volskaya Industries. Gosh, dang it. So, Volskaya Industries. I gotta say, one of my favorite maps. You tend to see a lot of long games come out of Volskaya, and I have to say that I love that because it seems just super balanced because of it.
Well, I'm gonna have to be contrary and say that Volskaya is my second most hated map in the game. The only map I hate more than it is Temple of Anubis, mostly because those are maps that you really have to understand how to play Overwatch to beat, and I'm sure a lot of people would agree. People on the competitive PlayStation 4 ladder do not necessarily know what they're doing, and that causes you to lose a lot of games on those specific maps. You can win some games for free with it too, but really you have to understand how to take first point, right? You take first point as cleanly as possible, and then you have to commit ultimates on second point in order to team wipe and then defend the point as the enemy respawns are coming back in. And that simple understanding of that mechanic is so important to knowing how you're going to be able to take that map. Because depending on the comp you run, depends on what you're going to target, what kind of positioning you take, all those sorts of things. But just in general, Volskaya definitely a difficult map to take and I think to understand. Unlike maps like Paris and Anubis, which have a high ground, it technically starts on a level playing field, so that's why you see a lot more Ryan and Zarya or Ryan and D.Va. You see a lot more of that. But there are some high ground spots on first and second point, so you might see some other dive shenanigans come out as well. Same sort of thing with Hollywood, so hopefully we see some varied comps and not just the standard meta fare. Let's keep it interesting.
So, I mean, so far we haven't seen the standard meta come out because we haven't seen D.Va basically at all.
Well, we have seen D.Va the first map.
We saw D.Va on University, but after that,
I wonder why. Because fundamentally, to me, when I look at it, I think D.Va counters, the Zarya and the hog play if you're good enough on the D.Va. You eat the hog shots, and Zarya really only gets value if she has charge, so if your team doesn't shoot at the Zarya and give her charge, I mean, as soon as those bubbles are down, you push in really hard onto the opposing main tank and punish and kill him. Because he doesn't have any protection, because there's no Zarya bubble. That's really how you want to play around the Zarya if you're ever playing against it. Now, of course, on some maps, that is not so easy to do, especially if the Reinhardt is aggressive enough and the Zarya knows how to bubble and get charged from simple Rein brawling and fire strikes. You can still get the high charge. But you just don't want to give her free charge, if that makes sense. Like, don't be shooting Junkrat bombs into her bubbles. Like, don't do those things. That's a simple tip to make sure that you can keep her at medium to low charge as long as possible. But in my opinion, I just think that they'll get there eventually.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. Especially, like, thinking about Zarya. Zarya can be pretty easy to counter if you are keeping track of her bubble usage. Because, like you said, the best way to stop Zarya is just to prevent her from getting any charge. So, if you're watching that she just bubbled, say, your Lucio, or their Lucio, then don't target the Lucio! So, it's the way that Voltage is playing right now. I believe that Defenji is most likely going to be playing on the Roadhog or the Zarya once again, meaning that Seattle, I think, has the upper hand, because if they're able to take down Defenji and Elo Earth and just keep them contested, they're going to have a fairly easy time. Even if they're just contesting one of them, it's going to be that much harder for Voltage to really make any substantial push forward.
Mm-hmm. I just think that they need to be more aware of Seattle. This is. I think they need to be more aware of Elo Earth and the carry potential he has. It just seems like they forget it sometimes, and then next thing they know, they look around and they're down 3 because he fragged. You just gotta always make sure you're playing corners and line of sight. It's possible to beat Widowmaker people. You just have to know how to play angles and behind shields. Very possible. Can't play recklessly, and just especially because we know Elo Earth. Good Widowmaker player. He's gonna hit the shots. You can't assume he won't hit shots. That's the mistake I see a lot of lower level people making, and they feel frustrated, but really their frustration is from their own inability to really play the corners in the game.
Very much so. Now, Volskaya Industries is going to be our third map. Now, we are in a 1-1 so far, and last week we actually saw the first map 5 of the season, and that was between Mako and I believe it was Seattle again.
No, it was Neptune. I played in that
Neptune,
game.
That's right. We've got so many teams that are blue as their color, so...
Yeah, I played in that game. That's how I remember that.
Yeah.
Very down to the wire, very stressful. I don't really recommend it to anyone. Try to win as cleanly as possible. Don't do that. It's stressful. Please don't do that.
But it was with that game between Mako and Neptune, it was basically how this one was going, where it was pretty much back and forth. I mean, Neptune took map 1, then Mako took map 2, then Neptune took map 3, Mako took map 4. And it's looking like it might be the same with Seattle and Voltage right now.
Back onto the Rhine Diva for Seattle, and we've got the Brig as well as the Moira.
And Elo Earth remaining on this Widowmaker. That's going to be their key piece right now in these early fights, trying to get those early picks with Elo Earth. Voltage going to start pushing in with this Ryan Zarya, and 2 people immediately following each other, with Nicholas Singer taking out Valens and Warrior Wolf and Joker both falling in a clear, just a nice team kill to lead to that victory for Voltage and an early capture on this point.
Nicholas Dinger 12 got in close, did a lot of damage to Warrior's shield, and then after getting a trap off, had to force it to stay there longer and commit more shield HP, and eventually the shield just broke and everyone died. Everyone was low and there was no way to recover from it.
And Nicholas already up to just about 70% on his ultimate, so massive ult going to come out from that Riptire. Elo Earth going to take out Kalmobs very early on, and that is the cue for Voltage to immediately push in. The Earth Center is going to be used, and so many people keep falling in quick succession. Nicholas Dinner taking out 2 picks of his own in that fight, and already halfway to capping this second point. Riptire going to come in just to keep things contested, with Torbjorn going to come back around. He will fall immediately, and Voltage easily able to take both these points in, I think, just about a minute of each other.
Well, honestly, what happened there is the classic 2CP roll. You get rolled on the first point, the enemy gets the ultimates way quicker than you did, they get the second point, they pop ults, and you lose. What happens when you lose first point so badly? There's just no way for you to come back because you just weren't as active in the team fight to build those ults. The only real way they could have stopped that is having something to stop them from just walking in there, maybe going for a Mei wall early or something, but they just weren't on those heroes. It's unfortunate.
And the thing with the 2 CP rule is it goes both ways. If you can even roll that first point, but if you somehow get held in that second point, it is so much harder for you to rebuild that momentum. And on that second point, the defense has spawn advantage, and they are going to utilize that. Looks like we are going to see the same composition coming out of Voltage, whereas Seattle going to swap back onto that Roadhog, thanks to Overhaul Dream. You see the great Golden Hook and Golden Junk Cannon. I don't remember what his thing is called. Scrap Cannon. I've had to learn so many things because of commentating. But it looks like Seattle actually going to be taking a very similar approach. I mean, they're not running the Zarya that Voltage was, but they're going to be taking a similar approach to the way they were using on Hollywood, it looks like. But Elo Earth going to take down Chaotic Phoenix very, very early on in these fights. Joker going to use that dynamite. It will help take out the steel trap, but it doesn't look like it's going to take out anything more. Fire Strike going to, I think, disappear. I didn't see it hit anything. Elo Earth taking yet another pick, taking out Joker, and it looks like Seattle just having a very tough time pushing in as they keep losing one person after the other before they can even get through this arch. Overhaul, though, is able to take out Nicholas Stinger, but it looks like Seattle going to keep their time, bide their time, and decide not to push in any further. Nice hook, though, on to, I didn't see who was hooked, but the Benji will take an Overhaul Drain with Kingpin pushing in, going to take down Warrior Wolf, even though he has that Moira behind him. Shan is able to take out Joker, and Voltage going to start pushing into the spawn of Seattle.
Interesting here. Both tanks already have their ultimates. They've got support ultimates. They're working up to their DPS ones, but man, they have just, Seattle has just been getting farmed at this entire point. It's really, really rough to watch, honestly.
And it seems like Volscale so far is just Voltage's map. They're just barely, it looks like Seattle is just having a very tough time making any substantial push. Coalesce is going to be used defensively instead of offensively. Elo Earth will take out Warrior Wolf while in that Graviton Surge, and now Seattle's waste has burned that Coalescence, and Voltage starting to push in. They're going to be able to get past that Orisa shield. The Reinhardt using that Zarya bubble to keep that fight going in for him. Kingren will be able to take out Joker with that Earth Shatter, and now Seattle push all the way back into their spawn yet again.
So, interestingly enough, big overcommitment, in my opinion, coming from Voltage here. They use Shatter, they use Nano, Coalescence, and they also use Grab. Now, luckily, they're up to about halfway on another Grab, but, I mean, once they solo grabbed the Ryan, they could have just walked forwards, killed him, and just Coalescence and walked through everyone else. There was no real reason to pop all those ults, especially when Seattle is going to have ults of their own coming up now, and they're going to have a chance to re-engage. We'll see how this goes for them.
We do see Riptires on both sides, but Seattle does have the ultimate advantage, being that they have 4 ults online. Riptire going to come out from the side of Seattle. It's going to be taken out thanks to Defenji, and now they've burned that Riptire. They are able to get somebody on the point and force Voltage to move back a little bit, but it doesn't look like it's going to be enough, as now they've expended 2 ultimates in order to try and get that push going, and now they have less than 60 seconds in this team already.
Ball is able to get in and out. 72 to mines. You should get mines in this last fight, but man.
Nicholas looking like he's trying to get a massive tire. Sound Barrier going to come out from the side of Seattle, and the push has begun. Riptire going to come out from the side of Voltage. It's going to catch 2 Bellas and Werewolf with the Coalescence taking out Kalmaz. And it looks like Voltage going to hard hold this point. 18 seconds left. The proximity mines going to come in and surround Kingbrim, but that Ryan Hammer, being the minesweeper that it is going to knock all those mines out of his path. and get him to safety. Kingren will take out Joker, but not before Joker was able to take down Chan. And now Reinhardt getting heavily pushed onto. He will fall to Chaotic Phoenix. Now Voltage has lost that main tank, and Seattle able to start getting this point rolling into their favor, able to get that first tick finally, but this is overtime, and they're not going to have that much time in order to push that second point.
We'll have less than 3 minutes now to get the second point. Seattle is looking at potentially getting less than half of the time bank that Voltage has, unfortunately, due to how much time it took them to get that first point. As well as the ultimates they had to commit to even get to this point. But
and that Intrasight going to tell them exactly where the Sombra is held up. They know where she is, so they can keep an eye on her and make sure she's not going to be able to get any hacks.
Yep. Well, right now, honestly, if I'm on Seattle, I'm playing for the EMP Shatter play, and then potentially using Mines later on in the fight.
EMP is going to come out, and 3 people are going to get caught in that, but Kingren going to fire back with combination of Elo Earth, going to take down 3 picks combined. Kingren taking 2 with Elo taking the first pick of that fight. The proximity mines will help take out Spooky Assassin, and the Coalescence going to be keeping people up, but I believe that Coalescence was more wasted than anything else. The fight was already won.
I'd have to agree with you. The Coalescence there, definitely coming in way too late. Moira could have just healed them, to be honest with you. But crucially there, that EMP coming out from Seattle, not getting a whole lot of value. Unfortunately, the Reinhardt was already nanoed, and he was getting support by his Ana, so he just didn't die and just really walked through the other team and killed them.
Seattle going to be taking the same route that they had done on Oasis, using this flanker to try and force Voltage back to the point and help with that rotation. Kingren going to be left alone momentarily, but he is able to get back to that point. And now, it looks like Warrior Wolf has lost her shield as she is just swinging away, trying to deal damage. Earthshatter going to come in. It doesn't look like it caught anybody. It did actually catch Spooky Assassin, but it looks like that Earthshatter went off for naught. But 2 picks are going to come inside of the favor of Seattle, with another pick going to Overhaul Dream. Nicholas Singer will fire back, taking out Balance, taking out that Moira out of this fight, but it looks like Seattle has their presence on this point. Tick and a half already claimed by them, but less than a minute, with Elo Earth being that cleanup job on this Widowmaker, taking out Chaotic and Calmods, and Seattle being pushed all the way back yet again.
Honestly, that's a situation where, to be frank with you, you lose 2 people on the second point of a 2 CP map, man. You're in bad straits. And now Overhaul Dreams dies really late. He's got mines. He's got a crucial ultimate for them. They have to do an EMP mine combo. But
and the toughest part there was Elo Earth has that Infrasight up, so Joker immediately is going to be taken down, as they know that they have to have that EMP ready to come out.
Yep. Here, the last 5 seconds.
Riptire going to come in, going to take out both supports, a massive Riptire. Proximity mine is going to come out of the side of Seattle Senpais. An EMP going to be used, trying to do what it can, but people are all going to die, and a nice team kill to finish out Volsky Industries in favor of Voltage.
Absolute domination from Voltage. There was never really any chance for Seattle there, unfortunately. They really outplayed them on all fronts. I mean, yeah, you took point A, but I mean, you take point A pretty simply by holding up ultimates for 4 minutes and then pushing through them. It takes a lot more to win the map, and Voltage had what it took, so they take Volsky Industries here.
Now, the big thing is, though, Seattle is still in this. They did take Oasis, so Route 66 is going to be a big determining map right now, whether we go to a map 5 or if Voltage is going to walk away with the match.
I agree. I think that this is definitely, although unfortunately the last map here is still another map where Widowmaker is super strong, so it's definitely going to be up to somebody on the Seattle roster has to step up and deal with Elo Earth. They were doing it on some of the other maps. They were shutting them down. They got to do it again if they want to win. Plain and simple. Got to step up.
Just waiting for the ready up from both teams. Now, like I said, Route 66 going to be our 4th map of the series. what comps do you think we might see coming out of these teams? As Route 66, I want to say it's definitely a popular map for the pirate ship composition, as you can get fairly early possession of that payload, but it's also can be pretty easy to defend that first checkpoint.
It can be. The main problem that you run into here, if you're on the offense here, is you've got to be able to get pushed around that corner and really get on into the first point, because this is a point that's very notorious for being well held by the defenders, because there's so much good ground for them to hold, to just sort of drop all down onto you and to sort of just make it so that they can just stall you out for so long. So we're going to have Seattle Senpais on the offense first. It's going to be up to them, honestly. They've got to set a good initiation, start that momentum, push in, and win some fights. Otherwise, I also think that with the defense having the Widowmaker probably with Elo Earth, they're just really going to be able to just shut down so many pushes early, like we've seen this entire series, where they just get that early pick and it just snowballs into them losing fight after fight after fight. So hopefully Seattle can play cleaner against that Widowmaker, but if not, it's not looking too hot for them. Got to get the momentum switched.
Absolutely. Now, I think the key to Seattle Senpais winning Route 66 and forcing this to map 5 is, like you were saying earlier, they need to contest Elo. Every single time they've left him uncontested, he has popped off and just gotten those early picks that has caused them to lose those fights. So they need to make sure they're having somebody watching where he is and making sure he's not able to get the value out of this Widowmaker. Just waiting to see if Seattle or if Voltage is ready to start the 4th map of our series. Now, if we do go to a tiebreaker map, we will be going to Busan like we did last week, and both teams are ready to go. So let's get into our 4th and possibly final map. Now, I have to say, it has been a pretty good game so far, though. Excluding Volsky Industries, Seattle Senpais has held their own against Voltage. You still there, Death?
I'm still here. I'm still here. I'm sorry.
Just trying to think of what to say.
Yeah. Sorry, I was a little bit distracted there, working on looking at some of the Overwatch League news that's been coming in. The league's been pretty interesting, to be honest with you.
I actually need to get caught up on it. We are going to see Elo Earth going to be playing on this Widowmaker, but it looks like Seattle actually choosing to go for a dive composition.
I like that. I honestly like that, because I think they need to sit on Elo Earth's head and just take him out consistently. Don't let him exist. Force him onto playing something that he might not want to play, like a McCree, or even the Ashe, where he just didn't look as comfortable as he did on this Widowmaker. Force him to play something else. Get on top of him.
And one of the big things here is we see yet again Joker is on this Sombra, and with Kingren and Defenji both being very vulnerable when hacked, it's going to be a massive potential out of this Sombra if they can get it to work. Seattle looking for where, I believe they're looking for where Elo is set up so they can immediately jump on top of him, trying to figure out the positioning of Voltage. Having this dive composition is going to be huge on making sure those early picks come out. They are going to dive onto the Roadhog and force him to use that take a breather right away, pushing him away from that fight and keeping this payload in their possession. Reinhardt able to come in and start contesting, but it looks like he's going to back out almost immediately. Seattle not really jumping in. They don't want to jump in too soon. Diva going to dive immediately onto Elo, I believe, and will help take out Spooky Assassin thanks to Chaotic Phoenix, with Chaotic Phoenix also taking out Elo Earth. Chan going to get the pick onto Bellens, and Nicholas Singer going to take out Chaotic Phoenix. Winston going to jump back to that point. to try and take out Kingbrim, but Winston not going to be able to take out a Reinhardt, and Seattle going to be pushed back to their spawn.
So an uncoordinated dive is really what caused them to lose. They had the right idea, right? Chaotic had the first right idea, dive on Liana, take her out. We can't see the Widowmaker from our LOS right now. Let's take out what we can. But it was the uncoordinated nature of it that allowed them, and then kind of abandoning, their supports just sitting on the payload. They weren't able to do much, and they just got ran over while half the other team was in the middle of diving. And
Elorf was taken out. Nicholas Singer, though, able to take out Joker. Winston going to try and jump onto the healers of Voltage, but there's Voltage coming back to keep those people up. Both healers supporting each other, making sure they're staying in this fight, with Defension coming around and going to take out the people behind the Winston. And now Voltage able to start pushing forward into Seattle.
Ultimately, in my opinion, Seattle's not taking the positioning that they need to take. They need to get onto the high ground and get away from this frontline fight with their tanks and their DPS. Otherwise, just walking into a Reinhardt and a Hog when you're on Winston and D.Va is stupid. You're just gonna die. You're gonna lose that fight every time. Got to get past them and sort of dodge the damage, dodge the cooldowns that are dangerous.
And once again, it looks like we see Voltage taking those early picks and even using that whole Hog to cause the DMAC of the D.Va, as well as getting them a kill. Defenji will fall to Joker, but it doesn't look like it matters as Voltage is right at their doorstep.
Oh, really? Both tanks had ultimates and they switch off, just deleting those ultimates. I'm not sure if I would have done that. Personally, I would have gone into this fight with our ults and just gone for the ult fight, because you're supposed to win it.
And they are going to use the EMP now. They knew that Widowmaker had used the Emphasize, so they knew that she knew where Joker was, and they are going to utilize that EMP. Riptide going to come out from the side of Voltage, and is going to catch two. Both Joker and Bellens are going to fall, with Chaotic being killed by Nicholas Singer as well, and Voltage continues to hold this point.
So honestly, they should have waited out the Infrasight and then EMP'd afterwards, because that EMP, before they switched off the D.Va, they had Bomb. EMP Bomb would have been a big ultimate if they just EMP'd around that corner there, but unfortunately, because they switched, there's no follow-up, and they just end up losing. Really sad. They got rid of their abilities to touch up.
And I'd hate to see it, but it looks like Seattle just isn't getting the, what's the word I'm looking for? The value out of the Sombra that they were hoping for. As the Sombra is constantly getting picked off, they know generally where she is most of the time, so they're keeping track of where those footsteps are, where those sound cues are, and keeping that Sombra contested. And Sombra doesn't have a massive damage output, so you're kind of losing a DPS then.
I have to agree. If they're not getting the value from Sombra's hacks and converting those things into kills, then Sombra ultimately isn't just doing enough for the team. Especially when you're still having the problem of this Widowmaker sitting in the back, uncontested, still picking you. I mean, Sombra's not a counter to Widow. I mean, a lot of people would think she is, but good Widowmaker is just dink on Sombra's. Bye-bye. And her ultimate completely counters Sombra's whole character for a limited amount of time, but still, you just can't do anything with her. So, I'm not sure, too, when it came to switching off of those tanks for Seattle there, I think they just threw their ultimates away when they had a chance to potentially get something going. Instead, they just don't even get their ults back up and end up losing, getting held at this first corner. It's going to be really hard for them to hold this for so long. I mean, I guess, I don't know what they're going to try to do. Are they going to try to hold close? Or they're going to, if they hold that far back, they put themselves in a one-fight situation where they have to win. I don't know if I would have done that.
And it's such a short distance that Voltage has to push it. You can see that golden box still within sight of that payload. It's literally just around the corner. So Voltage, one good push, and they've won this. And Elor going to take out Chaotic early on in that fight, already taking a strong high ground advantage. And Voltage going to come in and actually use a semi-dive composition of their own with this Hammond and Winston. And now, It looks like Voltage going to hold on that payload, just like Seattle was. And Hammond actually going to be causing massive amounts of disruption. It looks like Voltage using this Winston to its max potential. Chaotic, though, will come out and take out Elo Earth, and now Seattle has a chance to start pushing in. Winston trying to take out this Reinhardt, but he's not going to survive as Reinhardt has a break on him. Winston jumps into the air, trying to keep this contest going, keep this payload in their possession, but Kalmaz will take out Kingren, but Joker falls off the edge. I think it was a misplaced and mistimed blink to try and move around. And Nicholas Stinger will help take out Kalmaz. Spooky says, and getting to resurrect onto this Winston of Kingren. And now Seattle being pushed off that payload, trying to get back onto it right as inches away from it being captured. Hammond going to be caught in that Earth Shatter, but it doesn't matter as nobody's able to get back as they are all pushed away, and Voltage will take Route 66 and the match.
Unfortunate there. Looks like, unfortunately, Seattle's not done completely improving. They're going to have to go back to the drawing book, try and see what they can do to improve. Oh, man. What a tire by the Knockless Donger 12 there. Popping off, getting a triple.
Well, so Voltage wins the match, so we would not be going to a map 5, unfortunately. But there is something we do have to take care of. And I'm sure you know what it is.
Oh, I know.
So let's go with the easy one right away. MVP for Voltage.
I don't know if there's any contest for it, but I'm gonna have to say Elo Earth.
I don't think there's any dispute. So now let's look at possibly the harder one to decide, and that would be Seattle Senpais. Now, I would have to say, I kind of want to give it to, I'm between Overhauled and Chaotic, honestly. Because, especially on Oasis, Overhauled was able to combat Defenji, and it looked like was able to force him off of that Roadhog with his own. And to me, it seemed like Seattle was having their best luck when Overhauled was on that Roadhog, and Chaotic was easily able to contest Elo as well as Nicholas, especially when he was on that Junkrat. So, I'm kind of between the two.
For me personally, I think that Overhauled, I think, for me, made a lot of opening plays where he really enabled his team to be able to do things. I think a lot of times, you saw Chaotic or Joker get a 3K or something and pop off to sort of swing a fight back, but I only feel like that was happening a lot of times because they had setup from Overhauled Dreams. He has to get my picture here, especially too, like you said, how he contested Defenji on that Roadhog. He played pretty well. I'd have to give it to Overhauled Dreams for Seattle Senpais.
Alright then. So, we'll give our MVPs then to Elo Earth and Overhauled Dreams. So congratulations to you two, and congratulations to Voltage on yet another win for the standings for you guys. And I just want to say thank you, Death, for joining me today.
I was glad to be here. Hopefully I can come back another time in the near future.
Hopefully. Now, we do have another game that's going on tomorrow that should be at 3 o'clock for EST for you guys. It'll be 2 p.m. CST and 8 o'clock GMT for any of you EU people out there. So, we hope to see you guys again at those times. It's going to be, let me check real quick. It is the Horsemen versus Ordinary Soldiers, so should be... I don't want to say anything about this game. Because we haven't seen too much of Ordinary Soldiers yet. We only saw them once so far as they took the position of a team that left, so it's hard to say what can happen.
Yeah, definitely. I have no idea what's going to be going on there.
But anyway, thanks you guys for joining us, and we hope to see you guys again next time.